All right, good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, I should say. Sorry. It is 11:05. We're going to call the Electric Utility Board meeting for March 21st, 2022 to order. Ms. Rose, anyone signed up for public comment? No emails either. My paper's in order here. All right, we're now recessing into executive session in accordance with 1 VTCA Government Code 551.086 on competitive matters of LP&L, 2 VTCA Government Code 551.071 seeking advice of and consultation with LP&L's attorneys on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with Chapter 551 of the Government Code and seeking advice of its attorneys about pending or contemplated litigation or settlement offers, and 3 VTCA Government Code 551.074 to the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, and/or duties of a public officer or employee. The Electric Utility Board is now in executive session. All right, it is 12:02. And the Electric Utility Board meeting is now recessing back into open session, or reconvening back into open session. That brings us to item 6 on the agenda. Approve the minutes from the regular Electric Utility Board meeting from February 15, 2022, the special Electric Utility Board meetings on February 22nd, 2022, and February 28th, 2022. I'll entertain a motion. I have a motion by Mr. Schultz and a second. Second. I have a second by Ms. Stafford. Any comments there? If not, all those in favor do so by raising your right hand saying aye. Aye. Opposed by the same? Carries 8-0. Brings us to item 7. Mr. McGinnis? I guess we'll take it 1 second real quick and introduce our new board members. Is that good? We do that real quick. We have Dan Wilson with Dan Wilson Homes. He joined us. And then we've got Lewis Harville with PICO. So thank you guys for doing that. And now we're open. Back to you, Mr. McGinnis.
Got to be red. Jump over to page 38. At the bottom of the construction list, we've got Lubbock Expo, County Expo Center that made the list this month. We've got 3 new properties that have so far made March. Page 39, third row, right-hand side, the SAIDI System Average Interruption Duration Index is going in a good direction. It's trending down. You can see that March, April last year were fairly calm months. May, things get pretty exciting, so we hopefully will hold off till May this year as well. Any questions on those so far? I'm going to bring up Mr. Gardner to talk about some things in customer service. He'll highlight a few things.
Let me just give it back to you when I get through.
Give it to Mr. Hogan.
Okay. Well, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. My name is Clint Gardner, and I am new. So anyway, glad to be a part of the organization. Mr. Wilson, Mr. Harville, I know how you feel because I've been here 2 weeks. So let me tell you what, it feels like I'm drinking from a fire hose. But it's good. I mean, we've got a good organization here, lots of good people, and I think it's going to be a good future for LP&L. But anyway, just glad to be here with you this afternoon. Just to give you a few highlights of what's going on in the customer service and the call center and all. For the center calls for February, we had a total of 18,955. That's a 7.6% decrease from the previous month. Attendance was at 63.6%. The average wait time of a call was three and a half minutes, basically. Our goal is less than 30 seconds, so we will, we're continuing to work on that, and hopefully getting moved over to the new center this next week will help us get some things, and we're going for some new services there that would help it. Service level of 60%. We have a goal of 85%, and how that is determined is by several factors that go through call waiting, how many calls are waiting, the wait time, and time that a call was busy, and so forth. So anyway, we have a goal of 85%, so we will, we've got something to work on there. Abandonment rate of calls is 17%, so, and that's just from waiting too long. I guess they get tired of waiting, they hang up, and it's never a good thing. We've all been in that position. We sent 218,760 email notifications, 22,464 text messages, and added 1,443 new subscribers to those services. We added 122 customers to paperless billing for a total of 55,308 paperless billing customers. So, anytime we can get them on paperless, we're saving some money there. Kiosk payments, we had a total of 3,277. And I tell you what, I've watched these ladies out in the lobby do things, and they are doing a very good job of helping our customers come in and use the kiosk systems. They're very helpful and very good to do what they can. We've had 1,266 customers were served in the lobby by CSRs with an average wait time of about 2 minutes. So we track that by using WaitWhile, which is a lobby waiting service. So anyway, we track it by that. So customer payments, I'll just let you know this, the amount of money on customer payments by payment type. On electronic, we had $23,963,409, which was 77% of the payments that we received. By mail, we received $6,966,379, which would be the remainder of the 23% was made by mail. Just to finish up, and you're welcome to ask me any questions as long as they're very simple, but but our lobby customer surveys, I think that's important. Anytime you can get a customer survey, I think it's real important on seeing how we're doing with customer service, because really that's what we have to offer our customers is customer service, and we want to do that. But 5,000, now this is cumulative since September of 2016, but 5,188 of the surveys were very satisfied. 143 was satisfied, 13 was neutral, 4 was unsatisfied, and then we had 10 that were very, very unsatisfied. So, overall, I think our customer service is doing a good job as far as handling our customers when they call, or this would be lobby customers, but when they come in, I think they're doing a super job with handling the questions and all that they have. Do you have any questions for me?
Questions for Mr. Gardner?
Thank you very much for your time, and once again, thanks for having me.
Thank you and welcome. Joe? Item 8.
How are y'all today? For anybody that hasn't met me, I'm Casey Ortiz. I'm the accounting supervisor.
Welcome.
I'll be taking us through our financials for January, and we're going to get started with our balance sheet. Get my notes. Okay, so there's going to be two factors that are driving our cash and receivables for this month. The first factor is we are back in an over-collected position, so that's going to increase our cash. And then the second factor is that we did reestablish disconnects in CCS at this end of September. So those customer payments are increasing our cash as well as decreasing our receivables. And then you'll also notice that our deferred expenses are back at zero as a result of us being in an over-collected position. In our construction in progress, we're going to see an increase of about $11 million, and that's going to be due to spending on maintenance and upgrades to distribution, as well as continued spending on ERCOT integration. Okay, and now we'll move on to our liabilities. So we can see in our payables that there is a decrease. This is really due to timing, but we are consistent with where we were this time last year. As I mentioned, we are in an over-collected position, so we see that our deferred revenues are at $5.7 million. When you consider that we ended the year in an under-collected position, that's an increase of about $8 million overall. And there hasn't been any changes to our notes payable or our bonds payable since year end. So now we'll move on to our income statement. So we do see an increase in our operating revenues compared to last year. This is going to be due to higher PCRF rates as well as the addition of T-cost revenues. We're also going to see an increase in our operating expenses, mainly due to an increase in purchase power cost. However, if you look at our year-to-date numbers, they are consistent with last year, and that's going to be due to some purchase power true-up reimbursements that we received in December and January. Overall, we do have an increase in our operating income compared to last year. In our non-operating revenues and expenses, we are going to see an increase in our miscellaneous expense. Now, that's going to be due to our FFE and pilot transfers that we owe the city. Now, these transfers are 5% and 1% of our metered revenues, respectively, and there's a linear connection, so the higher our revenues go, the higher the amount of these transfers are going to go as well. And now we will go to our cash flows. We're going to see a positive cash flow from our operating activities. That's going to be due to the higher revenues as well as the decrease in payables. We're going to see a negative cash flow in our financing activities, and that's going to be due to our construction project spending as well as our interest payable on bonds. And then lastly, in our cash flow from investing activities, we're going to see a positive cash flow, and that's going to be from our interest income as well as the movement from funds from restricted to unrestricted. Any questions for me?
Questions?
Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you. Jamie, welcome.
Hi. So now that we're starting our actual project, we've gotten all the contracts signed, we've gotten everything, we're actually going to start presenting you with a monthly report to give you a status update on the project, to give you all some insight into that. So we will start with just an overall green, yellow, red. Because it is so early in the project, we have a lot of green, which is good. For the two yellows that we have, CCS and MTM, the actual program itself, our pro forma tariff is not complete. We have workshops scheduled for the next 8 weeks, and we need a draft of that pro forma tariff in order to start configuring the system, hence the reason we've got yellow. Additionally, we do not have a location for all of our workshops. We are currently working with facilities to get that, but it is a risk at this point. Integrations and interfaces, the required toll-free number, we're currently in contract negotiations for that. Moving down to OCM, I apologize for the acronyms, Organizational Change Management. We do have meetings that have already happened with LP&L leadership, the training department, the city HR. We're already talking about the new macro operations group and getting their job descriptions developed. For training, the core team of the project has completed the ERCOT foundations and the market track training. FAQs and checkpoints have been sent out to all LP&L staff, and we're following up on some of the comments that we've received from those emails. The EDI Gateway, that is the other one that is a little bit of a risk right now. Oracle and ESG. ESG is the company that is providing our EDI Gateway, and they are still discussing and finalizing the file format. So next steps. What we'll be working on between now and the next time we give you all an update, we're going to be focusing on the workshops. Again, these will be for the next 8 weeks. We'll be heavily involved in that. We do have a steering committee meeting scheduled for this Thursday. That will be our first steering committee meeting. We will continue to send out internal employee communication and education, as well as we have some scheduled initial discussions with PUC staff members, just to get some questions that we have. Again, this is not the legal side of the PUC, this is just from an operations standpoint. And here is our implementation timeline. Again, very high level, but to give you all an idea of where we're at, again, we're in the focus phase, which is all of our workshops that we're working on right now. We'll move on to the refine phase where we do the configuration and the testing. Finally, the enable phase where we're doing the actual cutover of the system. We still plan to have a system deployment the summer of 23 with our market entry go live the fall of 23. We've got a couple mock go lives in there as well as some dress rehearsals, but again, all of this is just very high level to give you an idea of where we're at. Right now we're on track. So,
Questions for Jamie?
any questions?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
That brings us to item 10. Consider resolution appointing one individual as City of Lubbock Audit Advisory Committee. If you guys recall, Mr. Taylor, Greg, served on that as a appointment from the, let me get to the deal, an appointment for Lubbock Power and Light. Did it say in here for how long he'd been doing that? Position comes open to begin on June 1st, 2022, rather than just appointing someone up here. I don't know if we have any volunteers that would like to serve on that. If not, we will take that as an action item. We can think about it before our next meeting, and we'll table this. And if someone wants to get more questions from, I guess Becky would probably have the best insight to what all that entails.
Yes, sir. I mean, talking with Ms. Garza is probably if you're interested.
Unless someone really has a passion right now that says, put me on it. If not, we're going to draw out of a hat. Qualifications? Mr. Atkinson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think qualifications for that board, be interested, be willing to work. And if you have a financial background, and we've had great members, came from the accounting world, banking world. We've got a member today that comes from the legal side of the house and does a phenomenal job. Ms. Garza is available if anyone would want to visit with her. Would also offer William Weaver, who is our internal auditor. So the internal audit department delivers all of their reports and results to this board. They also review the LP&L audit as well as the city audit before they go to those respective boards. So it's a good group.
What time, how much time do you think that takes?
It's pretty tight on them from, say, November to February because
Okay.
we're in the midst of the audit. Other than that, it's really not. The meetings will typically run 2.5 hours long. They're usually department level audits and reports as well as the follow-up from the prior, and you move forward.
Okay. And Greg's not here to defend himself anymore, so I'd volunteer reaching out to him as well if you have any questions, if that interests you. And he should give us a pretty good idea of what it takes or everything else. If that's the case, then we will table that item 10, and we'll bring that to the April meeting, and we'll have a nomination for you guys. Any other questions there on 10? Comments? Brings us to item 11. We need to review and distribute the following forms: City of Lubbock, the Code of Ethics, the Confidentiality Statement, and the Conflict of Interest.
I'll just be real quick on this item. These documents were included in your board packet. These are things that the city secretary's office requests that you all look at each year. Some of you have already provided the information to us. If you haven't completed those forms, please complete them and give them back to myself or Ms. Dueñas. Thank you.
Questions there?
Can we email them to you, Jeannie?
Yes, sir, you can.
That's just an annual form we've got to complete. Item 12, consider a budget amendment, amending the fiscal year 2021-22 capital program to amend the following capital improvement projects: CIP number 8626, distribution planning, CIP 92380, feeder circuits northwest, and CIP 92736, Cook Station gas turbine, GT3 control system replacement. Got a motion by Ms. Stafford, and a second? A second. Joe?
Afternoon. Yes, this is a budget amendment to increase the funding to the original CIP Cook Station GT3 control system replacement. As you know, we are going to replace GT2's control system as well. The original budget for the GT3 control replacement was $900,000 is what we budgeted, and the actual cost came in at $647,000. But in order for us to get these commissioned and moved into ERCOT, we have to replace the control system on GT2 as well. So this budget amendment is increasing that capital project and revising the scope and changing the name to include GT2 as well. We will increase the project by $542,000 to a total of $1.4 million. No additional monies is being used in this. This is a lateral move from a couple of capital projects that we have put on hold and are not going to utilize till next fiscal year. So it's not an increase in our overall budget. It's just a transfer. But this has to be approved by the board and then recommended to City Council because we're changing the scope and the name of the project as well.
Questions for Joe? If not, we had a motion by Ms. Stafford. We had a second by Eddie. All those in favor do so by raising your right hand, saying aye. Aye. Opposed by the same? Carries 9-0. Trying to slow down here, setting a record with these new board members. I don't want them to think this is how it always goes. Yeah. Blaze. Yes, bullying you right off the bat. Didn't even get them Chick-fil-A, but anyways. Brings us to the consent items. Items 13 through 16. I will entertain a motion for those. Got a motion? A second. Any comments there? If not, all those in favor do so by raising your right hand, saying aye. Aye. Opposed by the same? Also carries 9-0. Which brings us to item 17. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.